Hello. Today we had hoped to create a new political union, but today at the State Council meeting, the new union treaty was not ratified. Its draft will be handed over for ratification to the Supreme Soviet. There are dramatic events in the Caucasian region where there is a mobilization. There we don't have any more central television programming. There is a strike of the factories in Vladikavkaz. The northern Ossetia region has received autonomy. Today the mayor's office in Moscow has adopted a measure on free privatization of apartments. In Moscow there will be Soviet-Iranian negotiations taking place. And today the same parliament began working in Poland, and the Stroganov School of Design is 170 years old today. Today the Supreme Soviet was to have ratified the Union Treaty in Nova Agayovo. Today at 12 o'clock exactly, there was a meeting which should have approved the draft of the Union Treaty. It is assumed that the work on the treaty will be concluded and there will be a solemn ceremony of ratification. Very briefly, the sovereign republics are authorized to initialize each page of the document, confirming that the agreement is final and not subject to any change. There will then be ratification by the republics, and only then will it be signed completely. So who was there today at the negotiating tables? There's Boris Yeltsin representing Russia, Stanislav Shushkevich was from Belarusia, Islam Karimov was representing Uzbekistan, Askar Akayev for Kyrgyzstan, Ark Bashir was Iskanderov was from Tajikistan, and Erik Asanbayev was from Kazakhstan. And Gorbachev opened the meeting today. So today we had a meeting of the State Council, and we took up the question of ratification of the Union Treaty. This was a point which we have come to agreement on. And then we decided we would have a closed meeting after the discussion. I wanted to inform you that I had a conversation with President Natalibel, who was to have arrived but was not able to come, but the situation there was very intense. Petrosyan was also not able to come because of the very tense situation. Kravchuk from the Ukraine, because of the November 1st referendum, did not consider it possible to take part in the discussions on the Union Treaty. Over the last 4 hours, without any breaks, there's been a discussion going on. As a result, the President of the USSR, Mikhail Gorbachev, came to meet the reporters to announce the results of the meeting today. In the first part of the meeting, within the agenda, which was linked with discussing the Union Treaty of sovereign states, so as to hand it over to the Supreme Soviets of the republics and of the Soviet Union, and we've completed this first part. We'd also talked about and agreed that we would ratify each sheet of the agreement individually. We wanted to achieve a collective agreement on the part of the State Council, and this be handed over to the Supreme Soviets of the republics which are sovereign states. I've already mentioned that. So the results of this very lengthy work of going through the entire mixture of questions which have arisen, and we're now putting on the finishing touches. We've discussed that during the press conference, and we had the heads of state express their opinions on behalf of their respective sovereign states. And we came to the following decision, that we would hand over to the Supreme Soviets of the sovereign states and the Supreme Soviet of the USSR the draft of the agreement on the Union of Sovereign States, that we would ask the Supreme Soviets to examine the draft with the view of approving it this year, and also we wish to publish it in the press. I would like to say that we have come full turn, if I want going to be frank. That's the nature of the material we're working with. Nevertheless, the debates were sharp in tone, serious. Everyone realizes that the situation cannot go any further, go on any longer this way. The situation is such that we need to move the country forward. Otherwise we'll end up with no union treaty, no economic reforms. We need to, first of all, untie this chief problem, that of the actual composition of the state. After this press conference, Mr. Gorbachev and the other members of the attendees of the meeting went to have their closed meeting. After this news bulletin, you will see a more detailed accounting of Mr. Gorbachev's press conference. Today are elections for the president of Tajikistan. There were 7 candidates for the post, but the basic struggle during the election campaign was between Mr. Nabiyev and the leader of the Republican opposition, who was the head of the Cinematographic Institute, Mr. Huli Nazarov, who represents the democratic movement. The election campaign has been going on for a long time. Here we have shots from September of this year, when the democratic forces began to advance their slogans. The president of Tajikistan was elected during the first round. The rumors of Nabiyev's victory spread through the city of Dushanbe as early as this morning. Huli Nazarov at the press conference announced that the results of the election should be considered invalid since there had been numerous violations of the law. In the opinion of the leaders of the democratic opposition in the country, there may occur a number of protests. For that reason, Mr. Huli Nazarov turned to the citizenry of Tajikistan and asked them not to undertake any illegal actions. Today we've got bad news from Nagorno-Karabakh. On Sunday there was shooting and 2 military people were wounded. There was shooting going on between the Amon special troops and the local militia. Here we have a blockade of the region. We have the rail connection is broken off, and telephone lines are cut. So there may be major attacks on Armenian centers of population. Tomorrow there will be a meeting of the Supreme Soviet of Azerbaijan, and they are going to talk about defending our Azerbaijanis from armed attack. So the State Soviet proposed that Armenia and Azerbaijan send their representatives to Moscow for negotiations and also to work out measures necessary to put an end to the conflict. Yesterday, our news program was cut off over there. Galina Staroboltova gave a speech, and it was responded to by Rafik Guseina from Azerbaijan, and we are prepared to give representatives of Azerbaijan the opportunity to speak on our program. In northern Ossetia, in Georgia, we're getting very disturbing news. There was an unsanctioned political meeting there. In southern Ossetia, according to TASS, there was shooting going on. From Sinvale, there was shooting which took place, and there was answering fire returned. According to the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Vladikavkaz, a military post was shot up, which was a link to northern Ossetia. There's going to be a meeting of the Ossetian Congress, which is scheduled for the 29th of November. The Council of Elders, which is the recognized body in the country, is characteristic of what we saw in Tishin as a result of the actions of General Dudayev. Now there's a rumor that Yeltsin will sign an order and the republics will have to react in Vladikavkaz.